Welcome to the Travel Business Unpacked, where passion meets possibility. Here's your host, Meredith Calloway.
Hello, and welcome to the Travel Business Unpacked podcast. I am your host, Meredith Calloway, and I have a famous guest with me today, at least famous from the GTN perspective. My guest today is Lisa Fletcher, who today, her role is a member experience specialist at GTN. But what makes Lisa such a fantastic guest for this podcast is that she has been in your seat if you are a travel advisor. She's been in the seat of coaching travel advisors and mentoring travel advisors. She has also been in the seat of a partner, right? Didn't you originally work for?
Way back when I did. Yeah. I worked for American Express Hawaii Vacations. So, but that was
There
back
we
in the
go.
80s. I'm dating myself, but it was back in the
Right.
80s.
So Lisa's been around in the travel industry for a very long time. And she, like I said, has worn many hats, sat in different seats. She's got fantastic perspective. And she's also incredibly beloved by our community. Many of our first travel MBA candidates will still call her Mama Bear.
Yeah.
So anyway, welcome to the podcast, Lisa Fletcher. Thank you for
Thank
joining
you.
us.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, for sure. Given that introduction, I think the best place to start is for you to tell us how you got into the travel industry. How did you become a travel agent to begin with?
So I think it's probably a common situation, although maybe it was a little bit earlier for me. My college, I graduated from college with a degree in medical technology. It took me 1
Very
year.
fine college, by the way.
Yes, University of Georgia, go Dogs. Um, I so I was it didn't take me long to realize that that was not what I wanted to do. I knew that I wasn't really excited about it, that I'm thinking this is what I went to college for. I was lucky enough that my parents had paid for college. So, I'm sure they were going to be disappointed if I wanted to do something different. I had all that stuff going on. So my mother and I decided to take a trip to Hawaii, just a vacation. Both of us had always wanted to go. So we planned a trip to go to Hawaii. It was, we did part of the time in Honolulu, and then we got on the cruise ship that goes, around the islands for 7 days. And then we stayed a couple of days extra at the end. And by the time, I'm sure a lot of you who are listening to this have this kind of reaction to different places. But for me, Hawaii, it just completely changed me. I don't know how to even explain it. It sounds
Yeah.
crazy, but when I left Hawaii on that trip, I wasn't really sure how I was going to do it, but I was convinced that I was going to make it. I was going to fix things, to where I could make Hawaii part of what I did, but I wasn't sure how to make that happen. So I got back and I didn't let up. So I just kept checking into things. I lived in Atlanta at the time, and the big travel agent service center for American Express was there, not too far from where I lived. And that was where they had all the reservationists that handled everything, but they also had the marketing departments and whatnot. And I went by and talked to them, and come to find out they had a marketing position available in the Hawaii vacations division.
Wow.
And I was, I know, right? And again, I don't really know how I got it because my background was in medical technology. But somehow or other, they took a chance on me. And so I started working with American Express there. and was able to, we put together all the brochures and the packages. And I spent a lot of time, like I would go 3 or 4 times a year to Honolulu and work for like a month. Got to know the people in Hawaii, got to know, and it just made it even stronger. And so that's how I got started. And then just as life happened, I ended up, moving from that to being a regular travel advisor, to managing a small brick and mortar, to going back with American Express, but managing the corporate travel in one of the offices here in Charlotte. And then to this, to that, to that, to that. And it just kind of went on from there. So I've been in the industry for umpteen million years, but I've had, so many different aspects of it.
Yeah. Yeah. You've seen all the sides, which is one of the reasons why we love having you on the GTN team, because it's like I don't think there's a responsibility that we can't give Lisa.
I don't want to pay commissions, but yeah.
No, that's true. Yeah. We let the commissions,
But I could figure it out if I needed to, I'm sure.
our bean counters. We let the bean counters.
Yes.
But other than that, it is true. We jest about it, but it is very, very powerful that you have so much perspective and experience and wisdom and have seen so many sides of it, because it's so helpful that we can lean into that often. So you found us through Gift, right?
Correct. Yep.
We found each other through Gift because I started the Global Institute for Travel Entrepreneurs in 2011, early 2011, out of my home office in Mooresville, North Carolina. You purchased the Make Money Selling Travel Blueprint and got a free ticket to a local event, like a one-day, not mastermind, but more of like a one-day
Yeah, I don't even know what you're
intensive type of thing.
Yeah.
And that is where our relationship began.
Yeah.
And that was sorry, but the name of the business again? What was the
My
name of your
business?
business?
Oh
Yeah,
God, no. Vacation Hunters.
Vacation Hunters. You even had a wrap on your car. I remember
I didn't have a wrap, I
into
had a magnet. Yeah.
Oh, you had a magnet. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
Yes, I
yeah, I
remember
did all the
pulling into the
things.
parking lot of that day at that hotel that is so close to our office now. It's
Yeah.
like it's just on the other side of the main road. And seeing your Vacation Hunter's car in the parking lot, I'm like, oh, that must be someone who's in our workshop.
Boy, does she really need help.
No, I didn't think that. I didn't think that. But so yeah, so you met us then. So you ultimately became a coaching client, right? You were in the Tessa program?
Yes.
Yeah. And I think you did some kind of a half day with us, because I remember we helped you rebrand.
Yes. Yes. Which was the best thing ever.
Yeah. Yeah. So she rebranded from Vacation Hunters to Signature Escapes.
Correct.
Which I still love the name of that business. I think it's a great name.
Yeah.
So that is where our relationship began. And that was also before we started GTN.
Yeah.
And so it was wonderful to have someone in the community, in the gift community, that was local. And I think Lisa benefit from that too, because
for
you
sure.
could do things in person that most people couldn't do in person. So let's fast forward to when we actually started GTN. So this was like a kind of a crazy idea that, by this time I had Vanessa McGovern and Jennifer Cochran on the team at Gift. And we were actually, the whole reason why GTN started was because we were working on putting on the Book More Travel workshop for the first time. And Vanessa's perspective was, well, because it's so expensive to put on a physical event.
Yes.
I mean, the investment is massive. I don't think people really understand that.
Really
From
does cost a lot.
It costs so much money to
Even the
rent
coffee.
space, even the coffee.
I
Yeah,
know.
it's like just serving coffee twice or once a day for 2 days in a row is a massive amount because they
Mhm.
put it's just the coffee and then it's the service and then it's the taxes and then it's the blah, 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 blah. It adds up very, very quickly. And then there's the AV. And so in travel advisors, we all know, unfortunately, don't generate as much income as they should. I think they're underpaid. And so offering an event and charging the ticket price that we needed to charge to cover our expenses would have been cost prohibitive to the travel advisor. We would have had to charge over $1,000 for our ticket. And we just knew travel advisors not only were not going to pay that, they honestly couldn't afford it. So it was Vanessa's idea that we get partners and we do a whole trade show with the workshop, and we get partners to come and exhibit and help fund the difference. And so when she started calling on partners, they um, really the same reaction over and over again because Gift was so new. They were like, we don't know who Gift is. And so there's no history here. You're asking us to invest 1,000, 2,000. I can't remember what we were asking them to invest. And we have no way to track if this is a successful event for us. And so
We didn't we didn't
like,
have sales. Yeah.
right, exactly. We don't have sales. So she was like, we need to start a host agency. And, in hindsight, I'm actually writing this history right now in the book that is about to be published. And it's been really fascinating to go down memory lane and kind of like have a new lens looking at it. And one of the ahas I've had in that process is I started Gift with identical mission that GTM still has today, ultimately at the core. I just followed the business model that made the most sense to me at the time. And that's because I had been coached for the last 5 years in coaching programs by coaches who were typically coaching coaches, right?
Yeah.
Most of the people in my mastermind programs that I participated in, where I really turned Hills of Africa around, or Sandy and I turned it around together. Most of the other people in those programs were coaches. And so we were learning a whole lot about the coaching business model and how to do it effectively. And I was using my little analytical mind to like take what we could and tweak it to apply to being a travel seller.
Right.
But then when it came to starting Give, what was now almost like ingrained in me was a coaching business model. And so that's what I started. But ultimately, the better business model for this mission was a host agency. And so she was 100% right when she was like, we should start a host agency.
Yeah.
That was the evolution of the mission. So long story short,
And I don't think we would have I don't think we would have felt the same core values and the same mission if we had just started a host agency.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Maybe we needed to do the 2
Yeah.
years of just coaching. As a foundation and really establishing some track record too
Right.
in that. So, starting a host agency is not the easiest thing to do. Especially when none of us had ever done it before. And not only none of us had ever done it before, Jen had zero. I mean, Jen's reaction to that comment was, what's that? What's a host agency?
He's like, okay, what is a host agency?
Yeah, okay, well, sure, that sounds great, but what is it? So, it took about 9 months, I think, to probably 15 months total from concept to actually like, okay, it's time to now ask advisors to join. And when it came time to open our doors and uh, enroll or onboard advisors in the host agency, the very first person we went to was Lisa Fletcher, our dear friend down the road, her neighbor, coaching client. And I think we told Lisa this, that we had been talking about it for a couple of weeks, but we were very, very apprehensive and hesitant to go to her because we knew that she was with a host agency, and she, from our perspective, she was very happy. She was happily hosted with a wonderful host agency. And so we didn't want her to feel like we were being inappropriate,
Yeah.
to her host, poaching, in an icky way. So, so I'll let you take it from there. So we went to you and we said, we would love it if you would like to be our first member of Gifted Travel Network. And what was your perspective?
Well, I think we have to back up just slightly that during the time when I was coaching with you guys and in the TESSA program, one of the things that I identified about myself, which of course, that's what all the coaching program helps you do, right? The way that TESSA was set up and everything. One of the things I identified about myself was that where I really excelled and really felt the best when I was doing it was when I was either helping or teaching or mentoring,
Yeah.
right? So I
Yeah.
had already identified and I was trying to figure out, plus I was in not the best financial situation at the time, and trying to do anything I could, to bring in income because I was trying to get a teenager through college or through high school and college on my own.
Yeah.
And so I was trying to figure out how to make it all work. And so when the opportunity came to move hosts, I mean, I was not unhappy, like you said, with my previous host, but they were on the West Coast, and I didn't know any different, I guess. I mean, they were like the only one that I had been with, and I had learned so much during my time with
Yeah.
Gift that I trusted you guys, implicitly. You guys had been so helpful to me, during that period in my life, helping me get through it. I was a mess for a while, and you guys really helped bring me through it to the point where I felt confident that even though all the we didn't have relationships with partners, we didn't have good commission rates, because we didn't have any sales, right? We're brand new. We didn't belong to a consortia because we were
Right.
brand new. There was all that stuff. It also really excited me to start something brand new from the bottom up. And also, I knew that there was an opportunity there, or there would be an opportunity there, though not right at the beginning, for me to maybe stretch my mentoring legs a little bit, in the future.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I thought about it, and I thought, well, this is probably not the best decision because it's going to hurt my pocketbook in the short term, but I really think this is the right thing to do. So I jumped, I took the leap. And it was really
Yeah.
fascinating to me because I got to see and be a part of, because I was here and local, and you guys needed input from,
Yes.
sometimes you'd be needing my input as well on certain things. That even though I wasn't technically an employee of, or, a part of the startup of GTN, I felt like I was,
Yeah.
and it felt like I was doing more than just moving hosts, right? Like
Yeah.
I was having something to do um, with the beginning of something what I thought was exciting and supporting you guys who had been supporting me so well.
Yeah. Right. Because we didn't have a whole lot to offer you. So that's
No,
what is so, again, in hindsight,
yeah,
it's kind of remarkable that
it was just trust. I mean,
it
and
was
and
trust.
and my gut told me, you're up,
Yeah.
I've that's another thing that I've really um developed or learned to listen to,
Yeah.
since joining Gift and since all the mindset work that I've done with you and the others, is I learned that I really do have a super strong intuition, especially when it
Mhm.
comes to people.
Yeah.
And I never really realized it or listened to it before.
Right.
And so I had gotten to the point where I thought, what's my gut telling me? My
Yeah.
intuition's telling me that this is going to be worth the risk.
Yeah.
So I jumped,
So
and
you
it worked out
jumped.
fine.
And it worked out amazing. And we like I said, we had the worst commissions in the industry. So we weren't competitive there. We didn't have technology. We didn't have any fancy bells and whistles.
Oh no.
All we had was the education component, the coaching component. And honestly,
But that's
Gift
what
was,
was going to make us different.
and that's what was going to make it different. But
Yeah.
if you think about it, even Gift was only 2 years old when we started GTN.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's kind of a pretty solid statement for the kind of coaching we were doing through Gift that, we really established something good pretty quickly
Hmm.
to have you trust in a host that would bring the coaching side to it. Um, Having been hosted, so this is a great question for people who are listening and might be considering, is this the best host? Is my host right now who I'm with the
Hmm.
best for me? What is your advice? What is your perspective on picking a right host and whether when it's time to switch?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a whole bunch of different factors to look at, right? There's the on paper factors, the what partners do you book? Do you want to keep booking them? Do you want to change your do you want to specialize? Are you too special? Looking at all that kind of stuff and figuring out, what the commission rates are, all the nitty-gritty paperwork, numbers,
Mhm.
mumbo jumbo, right?
The
There's that.
practical
It's
side of things,
important. The practical
the
stuff,
very
which is
practical
important.
side.
And then there's the intangible side as well. What am I going to get from ABC host agency, whoever it might be that you're looking at, that you're considering? What am I going to get from them that I can't get anywhere else?
Mhm.
Or that I'm not getting now that I could really use, right? And I think, there and at this point, now that we've been around for as long as we have been around, we've got the high commission levels. We've got
Yeah.
the preferred partners that most people want. We've got the virtuoso affiliation. We've got all this stuff. We've got all the Magellan Awards. We've got this, and this. And that all is the logistical stuff and goes on paper.
Mhm.
But I think what it is what can I get from GTN that I'm not getting now or that I can't get elsewhere? And to me, it's by far the number one answer is the community. We have purposely and very carefully, um, more than some people probably know, crafted and built a community of like-minded advisors who um, they really prioritize collaboration um, and cooperation with each
Yeah.
other. And people don't believe it until they actually get in
Yeah.
and do
Yeah.
it. But I mean, we really do. There's no, there's not competition. It's not like if I needed, as an advisor, if I needed a recommendation for something, it's not like the old babysitter thing, right? Like, I don't want to
Yeah.
give you the name of my babysitter because then I won't be able to hire her. You'll be
Right.
using her all the time.
Yeah.
Um, and, it's like sharing not only, suggested partners and maybe really good res agents at that partner to use, because we all know that can make a difference. All of those things, but also just sitting down with the other advisors who are successful and been around for a while and saying, how are you doing this? What is it that you're doing? Can you share
Yeah.
with me how you've gotten to sell $7 million a year?
Mhm.
And they're really willing to do it. It's
Yes.
like the most, um, it really
Refreshing.
is. Yeah. And I mean, it really is an unusual thing in the industry. At the host I was with before, again, they were a great host, nothing wrong with them at all. But there was kind of that weird feeling of like, well, why should I give you this if what
Yeah.
am I going to get from it?
Mhm.
And to me, the community is number one. The education is number two, because the vast majority of hosts will throw you all of the partner-led certifications, all that kind of stuff. And that's great. I mean, those are important, but you don't need a host to get those. I mean, the partners have put all that together, right? The host hasn't. Um, and so they just throw all the partner stuff at you, and then how to report your bookings, how to, all the logistics you need in order to be hosted. But where they were falling short was teaching how to, not just how to sell travel, but how to run your business, which
Yeah.
was vastly missing in the industry. And that was what started with Gift, right? Made Gift so
Right.
successful. Is that we take people, who know how to sell travel or want to learn how to sell travel, whether you're coming as an experienced advisor or as a new to the industry advisor in the travel MBA program, and, kind of start you where you are. But we teach you how to get clients, how to market, how to keep track of your books, how to, how, when you're ready to grow and maybe hire sub-agents or hire an assistant or whatever, how do I do
Mhm.
that? Things that most hosts don't even touch. They don't want to touch it.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. They
It's a
don't
lot
even
of
want
heavy
to touch it.
lifting. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's absolutely accurate that um we have very carefully cultivated this community, and
Mhm.
it you cannot have a community like we have um without it being deliberate, right? There's a lot of care and feeding, and you said it perfectly. Like, we have built this community more than most people really can comprehend, but you're
Yeah.
on the other side of it now. You were on the participant side, and now you're on the inside. um what is it that people don't know? What are some things that we do that you think people aren't aware of to
Um,
to, to have that community?
yeah, I think it's, I mean, one thing I think that advisors, I think they know it, but I think they don't know the extent of it is how much, I mean, our team members really awesomely do care
Mhm.
about their success. I mean, it's not like we just hire people and throw them into a role. Part of their onboarding and part of their training is going through the pillars of service, and that, I mean, just look at our mission statement and everything. It's literally, the mission statement is not to grow GTN. The mission
Yeah.
statement is to support and build successful travel entrepreneurs build a life that they love, right? Through
Mhm.
travel. And that's not only through booking travel, but it's also through setting their boundaries so that they keep their work-life balance as um,
Yeah.
even as possible, right?
Yeah.
And we are so intentional about like the information that we put out, or like we send out a weekly, we call it the e-zine, right? But the weekly newsletter to our advisors. And we also send one out to our partners, which I don't think a lot of the advisors know that we do the same
Yeah.
thing. And, in the introduction that goes out, different people write it every week, but it's usually not just, sell this, sell that, so-and-so's having, it's not who's having a sale or who's having a whatever. It's like, hey, it's the 1st of June. Have you, looked at your first half of the year numbers? And, it's like
Yeah.
being intentional about what you should be doing at this point to make sure that you're setting yourself up for success in more ways than just learning about the partners and making sales.
I want to actually transition to, so you joined us 7 years ago as our lead mentor for the Travel MBA program. And you spent several years mentoring our Travel MBA students in that first year of selling travel. Given that experience, what, and there are so many people that are now in our community that are top producers that were groomed by you, and you were their mama bear. So what, but then there are people who don't, right?
Mhm.
The Travel MBA program is not a guarantee.
Right.
It doesn't guarantee that you will become a top producer. It absolutely guides you
Right.
down the path to becoming a 7-figure travel entrepreneur.
Mhm.
And I think we layer in so many things that nobody else does. And we're very, very clear. It's been absolutely architected to
Yeah.
take people on a path that is very different than the path that most people are taking as a travel advisor. But in your hindsight, what would you say is some of the pinnacles of why someone succeeds versus why someone doesn't, even in our Travel MBA program?
Yeah. So I actually started doing the Travel MBA program in 2015, although I wasn't a full-time employee. Of So the program started in 2015, and I was an independent contractor
Right.
mentor, right? So I had 2 years of doing it, or a year and a half or whatever, of doing it without being an employee of GTN. Um, I think the number one thing is people they need to be willing to learn. Most of them coming into Travel MBA, most of them are coming from other jobs, right? They're coming
Yeah.
from,
Another
they're
career.
teachers or
Mhm.
nurses or doctors or lawyers or, um, financial planners, or, I mean, we've got people that have come from all walks of life. It amazes me.
Absolutely. Yep.
Pharmacists, writers,
Yep.
it amazes me. I mean, I
Yep.
always get fascinated looking at what
Yeah.
their backgrounds are. Um, and so they don't really know. Some of them maybe have started businesses before, but most of them have not. And so one is being able to take off the employee hat
Yeah.
and put on an entrepreneur hat or a business owner hat.
Mhm.
That's a really tough mindset weed to quote you, to pluck um, from people. So that's one. Number two, I think, is you've got to take action. The people that I saw be the most successful, coming through the program in all the iterations that I've seen, through the years, and even now when I'm not directly involved, but see how things are going through. Um, if a mentor or somebody suggests something to you, you don't have to do it. I mean, it's your business, right? But if it's something that you are not totally, objecting to, or that, you can learn, you can listen, you can suck it in, but if you don't take action on it,
Yeah.
you're going to stall out. And
Yeah.
I would say that was
When you
probably
get
one of
stuck in the
the
perfection paralysis.
yeah, that was one of the main things I ran into with people was I would give them very specific um, tasks based on their, because it's, it's not like a big thing where, I mean, it's people are helping you, right? It's not like they're helping a
Mhm.
class of 30.
Mhm.
And based on what I think what your level of willingness to put yourself out there is, because everyone's different. And, something so simple as I remember giving one person an assignment basically to go to their local grocery store that they normally go to, and maybe a couple others. And, at the end of the grocery store, they have the little magazines for the local area that have ads for different businesses and that kind of stuff. And I'm like, so this person wanted to do wellness and meditation and wellness travel types things, but she was having trouble figuring out how to find clients, right?
Mhm.
And I said, so go and pick up these magazines, right? And bring them home and go through and pull out all of the meditation centers, the yoga places, anything, the spas, anything that has something to do with wellness and, that kind of thing. And then what you want to do is you don't want to pop in and say, hi, I'm a travel agent in the area and I want to sell you a group
Yeah.
trip or whatever. You need to go take a class, go
Mhm.
if you're into that, go set up a few appointments to go in and kind of see how they work, go online and see what kind of following they have. Are they successful? Do they have people that follow them? Could they be a group leader for you that if you ask them to get up in front of a group and say, oh my God, we're going to go to this resort and we're going to have this yoga and mindset, retreat or yoga and meditation retreat. We're going to do this, and this. I cannot wait to go. Who's coming with me?
Mhm.
That people are going to start raising their credit cards in the air. And I've seen it happen.
Yeah.
And I was like, so get all this, start to make these, connections and build
Yeah.
rapport and do all
Build
this stuff.
rapport. Right.
And it literally, and I swear to you, Meredith, in like 4 months, she still had not gone to the grocery store,
Yeah. Yeah.
but every time I would have a call, it was the same thing. It was, um,
Well,
I don't know I can't find my
yeah.
clients. They're,
It's
and
what it comes down to. I mean, what you've just illuminated is a
ugh,
perfect example of how you have you can have the formula, which we have. We have a formula for how to succeed. You
right,
have to know how to monetize the business, you have to know how to market the business, and you have to know how to manage the delivery of the
right.
benefits, or delivery of your service. And but we can give you all of those answers, right?
I mean, I wasn't
But
going to go drive to her house and take her to the
But when
grocery.
you go to take action,
Right.
so everything that you consume, like you could read a book, we could write a whole manual on how to be successful, how to build a seven-figure travel business. And you could consume the whole book. And when you read that book, you're feeding that content to your conscious mind. But when it's time to take action, it's your subconscious that dictates 95% of the action that you take. And that is why entrepreneurship is one of the greatest personal development boot camps you will ever go through, is
Absolutely.
because you are going to be asked to step outside your comfort zone 10 times more often than if you were in, a cubicle in a, as an
Yeah,
employee in the corporate world. And it's when you step outside of your comfort zone that the subconscious limiting beliefs, doubts, stories, you know, all of that has been holding you back all your life, unconsciously holding you back, comes to the surface, and it's an opportunity to pluck those weeds and take so that's what courage is. Courage is taking the action despite the fear. Courage is not being
Not
fearless,
fearful. Yeah. Yeah.
right? Courage is taking action, acknowledging the fear and taking action anyway.
Right.
Um, and
You
then
know, a lot
maybe
of
the most
people
simple
feel
way of
like
saying that is
squirrels.
ready, fire, aim instead of ready,
Right.
aim, fire.
A lot of people too, they put a very negative connotation around being having selling something, right? Being
Yes.
a
Yep.
salesperson. And, you know, like I keep trying to tell them if you may be selling something, you know, you
Mhm.
are selling, you have to ask for the sale at some
Yeah.
point, you know, in order to close the deal. But I said, you know, I would get those people because some people come in and they've been in sales jobs, they have no problem selling, right?
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
but there's a lot of people that have never been in sales related positions that come in and they have a really hard time. Well, I don't want to ask my friends to book with me.
I
And it's like,
know. Yeah.
why? You know,
Yeah.
but they haven't, they're like, they think of sales as like, you know, used car salesman
Yep.
mentality
Mhm.
or whatever. And so, you know, it's like, okay, turn it around. Um,
Yep.
it's not you're desperate trying to sell them something. You're trying to offer them a service,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? That is going
It's
to
the
make
shift
their
of going from trying to get
is how
to trying to
yes.
give.
How can I
And
help
that's
you? Because you know that you can put together a much better trip to Italy for
yep.
these people than if they
Yes.
sat there going through Google
Yep.
for a month. You
Yep.
know, because you know all the stuff, you know the people, you know, you have partners behind you, you have
Yep.
your team behind you have all these people behind you, and you can put together an amazing trip for these people that they never would have put together on their own.
Yep.
And so you're helping them, you know, you're helping them build memories. You're helping them put together an amazing trip that they couldn't have done on their own. Um, and so it's not icky,
Yep. It's not
right?
icky. If you and that is the most one of the most powerful shifts that we
Mhm.
teach
Right.
is, and it's why we start with, I mean, it's why the acronym GIFT was so, yes, like it
Yeah.
was like, oh
Right.
my God, this is exactly what this company should be called, because it was all about, really wrapping your gifts, your brilliance into your own messaging and brand, and building a whole business around that,
Yeah.
which really forces that entrepreneur to, instead of coming from a get place, I want to get more clients, I want to get more bookings, I want to get more commissions on the books, to a giving place.
Yeah.
And when you can come from a giving place of, oh my gosh, I have this brilliance to share with others. I do have a brilliance. I am good at planning travel. I do have a passion for this, and I want to help other people experience the magic of the world that we live in through traveling with their loved ones. And I know I'm good at that. So let me put that out there. And then you realize, when you do that, instead of marketing feeling like something you have to do because it's part of being a business owner, it's something you get to do.
Right.
It feels like, oh wow, I actually get to do this. And if I don't do this, they're not going to find me, right? There are people out there who need me really badly, and
Hmm.
if I don't market myself, they're never going to find me. So, um,
Life's too
I love
short to
that
take bad
advice.
vacations.
Yeah. So, we're running out of time, and I want to get to another topic that I think could be interesting to listeners who are a little more experienced and have built a travel business and maybe are at a step point. I want to talk about the partner relations side, which is where
Okay.
you are now, right? That's
Well,
really
sort of.
where you're.
Yeah. It depends on what day you're talking about, but yes.
But you have played such a crucial role in dealing with escalations for our advisors. And you are a little bit like a bulldog. I mean, your alma mater's mascot.
Uh, and it's
When it
funny
comes
because in real life, I'm really not like that at all.
Yeah, but you are amazing. And so number one, I think that's another element of hosting that's underappreciated. I
Well, a lot of
don't
hosts don't
know.
escalate.
Right. A lot of
A lot of
hosts don't
hosts don't have
escalate.
a program whereby an advisor who is having an issue with a
Yeah.
booking, whether it be the clients are traveling now or they're, or you're having trouble in the booking process or whatever, a lot of host agencies don't offer that service.
Yeah. So what are some things that you have learned from being on the
Ugh,
escalation process side that you think would help advisors either avoid a future escalation or what to do if they are? I mean, sometimes you
yeah,
can't help it. There,
right,
it's not avoidable. It just
right.
something happens. Mistakes get made.
Yeah. I mean, obviously any partner out there, even the best, can make a mistake, right? We say it's all in how they respond. Um,
Mhm.
just like any advisor can make a mistake. You
Yep.
know, when booking things, you might accidentally book the wrong day or book the wrong whatever. And it's not that anyone is immune to making mistakes. It's and how you handle it when it happens, right?
Yep.
How do you make it right? And so to me, what for the advisor, what's really important, I think, is to use the preferred partners of that host agency whenever
Yep.
possible, because we do have, I mean, I've got, on the cell phone, I've got numbers and email addresses and all that kind of stuff of very
For
high up
executive level
executive level people at a lot of our
partners.
preferred partners. And I'm not scared to use it if it comes to that point, right? I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, we try to get it fixed before involving executive level, but it's there if we need it. We'll shook down people from their sunbed in the Maldives before, because there was something I needed that to fix, and they usually laugh at me, but they'll do it. So so number 1 is make sure that it's somebody that we have contacts with, that
Yeah.
that we can assist. I mean, obviously, you can't there will be bookings in your life that you
Yep.
can't find a preferred partner to use,
Yep.
and so just be very careful in vetting and who you choose, um, for that. Number 2, document everything,
Yeah.
right? Who you talked to, what was the day, what time, what was their first name and last name, who told when were you told this, when was this issued, when, you know, document, keep every email, keep every, booking
Yep.
confirmation
Yep.
and correspondence, even if
That's
things
a
go
good
smooth.
use. That's an opportunity to use AI. When you have conversations with your client, even in the planning part before they've even paid a deposit,
Mhm.
if you can do a Zoom call like this and put Fathom on or something, a note taker like that, then you can, I mean, it's amazing what Fathom does. It will
Yeah,
produce a whole summary in bullet points, and you can just capture that summary without any extra work on your part. You
right.
finish the call, Fathom creates this whole like summary, and you've got it on record. And that's a fantastic way to document, because you just never know when you're going to have to go back and be like, wait, what
No.
did I commit to? Or what did I promise? Or what did they agree to?
And learn to read terms and conditions. Learn to
Yeah.
understand what your like we send terms and conditions to our clients all the time, and they probably don't read them. They just check the box that says, I accept the terms and conditions.
Right.
They haven't read them, right? So learn to read and understand terms and conditions so that you then understand what it is that you can and can't do, or what is right and not right. To do, make sure that your processes are in place to where, and you use them the same way every single time, so that you're getting that. If somebody doesn't purchase insurance, you're getting that waiver signed. If somebody, um, does, just, you want to make sure that all of those procedures that you put in place in order to protect your clients and yourself, along the way, um, you're not, because you never know when something's going to go wrong, right? I mean, just this week, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, I had 7
Wow.
escalations that came in. Usually it's, 2 or 3 a week, maybe. I had 7 over a period of 3 days.
Wow.
And what I find a lot, there can be a vast, difference of what they are, but a lot of them are just lack of communication,
Hmm.
lack of understanding of the rules, um, lack of, making sure that people understand what is expected and guaranteed and what is not, so it's really important that even if your clients are just going to check that box and not read terms and conditions, you need to make sure that your terms and conditions are very thorough but very easily understood, so that if you're ever in a dispute, it's clear that it was communicated at
Yeah.
some point. Use a some kind of a workflow management program that documents everything and reminds you when things need to happen, and that has DocuSign built into it so that
Mm.
you've got those e-signatures. And it goes the same way with the partners. You want to make sure that the things that the partners are disclosing, to the clients, and the clients are accepting, that the clients need to, they need to understand what that is. That kind of thing will save so many escalations.
Yeah.
Another thing is, once you have a feeling in your gut that something's wrong, speak up early.
Yeah.
Um, and because if during the booking process you're having a heck of a time, getting documents, getting things confirmed, getting confirmation numbers, correcting mistakes, doing all this stuff, if you catch it early enough to where you've got time to either ask that your stuff be turned over to another reservations agent, or that a supervisor take it over, or that you jump ship and go use another partner who gives you a better feeling for the way that they work.
Yeah.
Um, listen to your gut. And if something's telling you this is probably not going to end well,
Yeah.
don't don't take that chance. Don't just say, oh, well, I'll just cross my fingers, because 9 times out of 10, something's going to go wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so much easier to fix beforehand than it is when the clients are standing there
Yeah.
in,
Definitely.
in wherever it is they are, and there's no room for them, or they're not getting the room that they had thought they were going to get,
Mhm.
or, there's all kinds of crazy things that happen. Their travel, or their transfer driver, or their tour director, their person taking them on a tour for the day, their tour driver and guide them, or
Yeah.
whatever. And, you've got to baby spoon feed your clients with, if this happens, then do this. So be
Yeah.
thorough in all of your documentation as well.
Yeah. Which brings us kind of full circle, because one of the very first things we talked about was picking a host. And you said it's more about the intangibles. Um, the, and what that one of them is getting a feel for the kind of relationships that the host has with the partners.
Mhm.
Is it important to them? How much time do they invest in their relationships?
Are they
And
even allowed to deal with the partners directly? Some hosts
right.
don't allow advisors to even contact their
Yep.
partners, except for
Yep.
observations. But I mean, if anything goes wrong, their business development managers or their, whoever. I mean, we encourage it here, building those relationships, but some are very protective.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
they, it's like, oh no, we don't want our advisors reaching out to our BDMs.
Yeah.
And it's like, why,
Yeah. So we are definitely past the time. So I've my last question, which is my favorite question to end the episodes with, is, in your experience being in the industry, you know, we do get to live lives that we love. It's an incredible industry to be in. What is one of your favorite pinch me, oh my God, I can't believe I got to do this for a living moments um, that you
Oh,
had in the industry?
oh goodness. Um, I mean, of course, there's those moments when you get a chance to travel. Um, Even more so when you get a chance to travel with either taking a group of clients with you on a trip or, um, you know, like we do those hosted experiences occasionally where we'll take our advisors on trips,
Mhm.
or that kind of thing. But honestly, my biggest pinch me moments are just seeing the people that we've nurtured
Yeah,
over all of these years hit those milestones.
yeah, yeah. I
Oh,
love
it
that.
it just makes me so happy
Yeah,
to see that, and people think I've lost my mind sometimes because I get so excited about it, but to me, it's a big deal, and it's like, "I knew you could do that,"
yeah,
and
yeah,
now they know they can do it too, right?
yeah,
So, probably a big one for me was that my daughter came into the business.
yeah,
Um, not I didn't force her. She came into the business on her own, and is working for one of our top producing agencies, right?
yep.
Hosting with GTN and watching her grow.
And grow
Um,
and step into leadership.
yeah, and step into leadership within that role. That's been
Mhm.
a real kind of pinch me too, because
Yeah,
I I keep thinking, it was just she and I for a long time together,
yeah,
starting from the time she was, well, basically all of her life, but basically officially starting from the time she was maybe 14 or 15 years old. And she saw how hard I worked. She saw how much blood, sweat, and tears I put into everything and wanted my clients to be happy, wanted my the people I was
yeah.
mentoring to do well, all that kind of stuff. And even though I never forced her into or tried to push her into the industry, it makes a mama feel good that her child maybe didn't think I was such a Looney Tune after all.
Well, this has been amazing, and I feel like we could talk for another couple of hours. Thank you so much, Lisa, for joining us today and being
You're
a
welcome.
guest. And hopefully, someone listening got something really good out
I
of
hope
this.
so. I mean, it's the best industry in the world, the
It
best
is.
job in the world. It's just a matter of finding your way, and
Yes,
we're here to help with that.
we're here to help. I love that. I love that. Perfect place to end. Thank you, everyone, for listening today. We'll see you on the next podcast episode. Thanks for listening to the Travel Business Unpacked podcast, where we dive deep into the exciting world of travel entrepreneurship. If you're looking for more, we have some great resources for both aspiring travel entrepreneurs and existing travel advisors. Aspiring travel entrepreneurs, if you're thinking about turning your love for travel into a profitable business and enviable life, take our Travel Entrepreneurial Suitability Score quiz. It's fun and insightful. Just go to travelmba.giftedtravelnetwork.com. Find out if you're ready to professionalize your passion for travel. Current travel advisors. If you've been selling travel but haven't been able to grow your sales beyond $200,000 in a 12-month window of time, our quiz can help there too. Again, you can find that at travelmba.giftedtravelnetwork.com. Advisors looking for a change. If you're seeking an elevated hosting experience for the luxury travel advisor, check us out at giftedtravelnetwork.com. We'd love to chat with you. And with that, we wrap up today's journey. We hope we inspired you today, or at a minimum, put a smile on your face.